This project Aelf reminds me a lot of Vechain because they both have strong roots in Asia and are focused on enterprise blockchain solutions. Its token Aelf has also rocketed over 3x in the past month, leading up to their token swap coming on September 9th. So in this sponsored video, we're going to take a closer look at this project, what they're all about, and what you need to know about their token. So if that sounds interesting to you, then strap in my friend and let's roll the intro. In the blockchain space, we have a ton of dApps and even dApp platforms, but there's not a lot of projects that fulfill the role of an operating system for this space. And that's what Aelf aims to be, an operating system designed exclusively for the blockchain space. So their goal is interoperability, and they've built a fast and accessible blockchain towards that purpose. But it's not only that though, they've also innovated along the lines of scalability, performance, governance, and cross-chain ability. Their token Aelf drives their whole ecosystem and started off as an ERC20 token, but will soon migrate over to their own network as the native utility token. I do want to note that they did launch in 2017, but did not do a public ICO. Instead, they had some private sales for some top VCs and funds in the space. But you may be wondering why though? Why did the Aelf team feel the need to build another blockchain network for enterprise applications? Well, when they first started, they surveyed the lay of the land and saw two big hurdles for enterprise adoption. The first hurdle was the overall lackluster performance of the available solutions, right? I mean, blockchains back then were not efficient. They did not have great user experiences, and the lead platform Ethereum was pretty much unusable due to high demand. By the way, things haven't really changed that much a few years later. The second hurdle was that cross-chain technology was largely underdeveloped because there are a lot of different public chains out there, but they operate in their own silos and it's hard to get them to communicate effectively. These were the problems that Aelf saw, and it's what they set out to solve. So what did they do about it? Well, they first focused on increasing performance and lowering costs. They designed their system to allow for parallel processing and also created their own delegated proof-of-stake consensus mechanism. That's how they were able to reach 3,000 transactions per second on a single sidechain, which is quite high compared to what some other blockchains can handle today. On top of that, they support unlimited sidechains, which is super clutch because sidechains in general ensure something that they call resource isolation for smart contracts, which is just a fancy way of saying that they can be more efficient. In terms of fees, Aelf makes theirs independent of resource demand. This means that on-chain transactions will always have a fee of 10 cents. It doesn't matter what the price of the Aelf token is or how congested the network is, it's always 10 cents. This is honestly quite unique of a design decision. I can't remember other blockchains doing the same, and I think enterprise clients may be a fan of this structure. So all of those things I just mentioned was the team's first focus, but their second one has to do with the cross-chain functionality, which they handled by building two-way communication networks that can tie their main chain, side chains, and other public blockchains together. This is a great graphic that shows how such a grid architecture could look like. You have the Aelf main chain running through the middle, and you have a side chain for DEXs, and one for insurance, as well as connections to the Bitcoin and Ethereum networks. Basically, any use case or vertical can have their dedicated sidechain that's fine-tuned to their own requirements. For example, your sidechain could use a totally different consensus protocol than what the main chain uses. Another key component here is the Aelf Oracle, which helps retrieve off-chain data and also bridges communication across other public blockchains. If we take a step back now, we see that their system has two main components, their mainnet and their oracle. Let's dig a little bit further into each of them, shall we? Because they are super critical to what Aelf has designed. Now, their mainnet consists of a bunch of different nodes, each of which can be thought of as an independent cloud computing center. But something unique here is that Aelf nodes can operate on a group of servers together, rather than being constrained to one server per one node, like in other blockchain networks. So this approach makes the system ultra scalable because you can just add more servers to the nodes cluster when you need to. And also those process transactions in parallel, so that makes it just immensely scalable. All of these nodes come together to form a larger cloud computing network, and that is what underpins their blockchain operating system that I mentioned before. Now here is a great diagram that shows this architecture visually. You have your separate nodes, which can consist of multiple servers, and then you'd have data or assets easily moving from one node to another via internal paths, like through main chains, side chains, and so forth. As for their oracle, it retrieves off-chain data and brings it onto the network. But it also connects public blockchains together, like, for example, Aelf and Ethereum. This also allows them to serve as a layer 2 of storage for public chains who may need or want the additional capacity. Now, with all of this impressive architecture and capability, what does this mean for the enterprise customers? Well, they get a full suite of solutions to make their experience of building blockchain apps much easier. For example, any customer can download the Aelf Enterprise solution and launch their own blockchain within 15 minutes. They don't need to go through the hassle of figuring out how to build their own from scratch. Aelf's solution also comes with modules that can be customized as desired, and customers can choose if and when to connect their blockchain with Aelf's public network. Oh, and by the way, Aelf also thought of different governance needs of their customers as well, because different situations call for different governance models. And Aelf supports a bunch of different styles like parliament, association, referendum, and a bunch of other ones. I'm not going to go too deep into these, but you can read more about them on the Aelf white paper if you'd like. Now, before we get to their big upcoming milestone, which is their token swap, I want to take a look at the team behind this project first, because that's always a crucial point. Aelf was founded by Ma Haobo, who founded Hoopox before, and was also the CTO of GemPay and Allcoin. So he has some relevant experience in this industry. The other members of the team hail from top companies like Microsoft, Alibaba, Baidu, McKinsey, and so forth. And because of their strong team, they were backed by an advisory board that includes Michael Arrington, the founder of TechCrunch, and other well-known people in the crypto space. So you see that they are pretty accomplished of a group even before coming together to start this project. They're definitely not some anonymous, no-name team that's just trying to create a quick project and rug pull us. I mean, we can just look to their progress so far to confirm their legitimacy and professionalism. They've already launched their mainnet back in December of 2020, and that's been running pretty smoothly so far. But ever since they were first established back in 2017, their Aelf token was an ERC20 token on the Ethereum mainnet. So people who have been trading that ever since has been using that. But now it's time to swap those for the mainnet Aelf token starting on September 9th. Which by the time you're watching this video probably passed already. By doing so, you can start participating more within the Aelf ecosystem. Because the ERC20 token doesn't really do much, but the actual Aelf mainnet token has a bunch of utilities. It's used for transaction fees, sidechain index fees, block rewards, deposits, and so much more. By holding this token, you can participate in the governance and ownership of the network. So if you already have some of your ERC20 Aelf tokens, you can swap it directly through Binance and Huobi, or you can do it manually on the Aelf website if you want to hold your own coins through a compatible wallet. If you do this though, just be careful and don't get phished. By the way, when this swap happens, 120 million more Aelf tokens will be issued, most of which will go to a dividend pool to award token holders. So that is yet another juicy incentive to swap your tokens or just buy some and participate. Now, after hearing about this project, does it kind of remind you of Vechain in some ways? Or is that just me? I mean, it's not related to supply chain stuff, but the enterprise focus and the Asia ties was what I was thinking about. Anyways, keep an eye out for them since they are hitting some big milestones soon, and that could equate to some big price action moves. Not financial advice, of course. Let me know what you think down below, and also check out the links I'll leave as well if you'd like to learn more. I'm Kevin from Coinsider. Can't wait to see you in the next one, and cheers.